Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Mbangula, and I'll take you through the presentation of Educational Management 2, which will be your guide to help you to prepare for your examination. First and foremost, this presentation leads to the examination preparation and enable you to have more information that can lead you to pass the course. To pass this course, you need to obtain at least 50% in your assignment that you will be writing, and that will also allow you to be admitted to the examination. You also need to get equally 50% in examination so that you are granted a pass. But you have to be mindful also not to be deceived by continuous assessment marks and relax during examination, because most of you, what you do once you get 90 in the assignment, you think in examination is just a walk in a parkway which you need only 10%. It does not mean you only work for average, but examination you need also to pass it. Hence, don't rely on the CA per se. You need to obtain a pass in examination, at least with 50%, and then you will be able to pass the exam. There are different concerns I have also observed from your colleagues or the previous students. Students seem not to know how to go about reading their study guide, and I'm making these deductions because at times you find many students asking you some things that are very obvious, whereby you just need to go on your table of content and trace or find the exact page where a particular topic is in your study guide. But then you ask yourself a question: are you really studying, or you just want everything to be given to you on a silver plate? So make sure that you know your module. It must be your baby. Then it will be easier even to be assisted by the tutor should you look for clarity on certain things. But if you only want to be given everything by the tutor, so I'm not the one who's going to write the examination. It's you. That's why you need to know the content, so that when you go in examination, you are able to recall everything. Start reading early also before examination, and ask the tutor where you find it difficult to understand certain topics, to be given clarity and guidance on how to study and tackle certain topics in your guide. Because the moment you start late, number one, you will be confused. Number two, it will be difficult to master that huge content at once. Remember, we are not allowed to give you, we are not allowed, neither have right to give you a scope of what is coming. So, but we can guide you to understand the content that can eventually assist you to pass your examination. In essence, what we are giving you is a guide. It's not a scope, it's a guide on certain topics that you need to focus on. And in those topics is where we will craft our exam questions. Some students are still trying to memorize the content, which is not good. And at the end of the day, when you memorize, you tend not to know. So read and understand, and the content should become part of you, so that at least you can even bring in your own understanding. Because the moment you memorize, you just copy and paste the idea, but then you cannot contextualize. You cannot even make application. You cannot even use your own word. Try to read with understanding and make content part of you, which is very, very important. We kick off with the topic of interest, we start in Unit 1. The following topics are very important, and you need to pay attention to the following topics, as they will assist you to have knowledge and understanding that will enable you to pass examination. The first one is you need to know the leadership traits and characteristics associated with those traits. Of course, we have different traits in leadership that you have learned in Unit 1. So you must read about them and know what are the characteristics associated with each of those traits, and what make those leaders good because of those traits. Because of course, each trait would lead you to a certain character that makes a leader a good leader. That's the essence of those traits. Then we look at the types of teams created by total quality management, and those are the personal levels, and the list is long, so you must know them all, so that at least you know each team, what is that team doing. Because those teams, they have certain function that they are playing, and there are certain aspect that is being carried out by those teams. Furthermore, you also need to know different leadership styles. We have different leadership styles, for example, the participatory, democratic, autocratic, etc., etc. So you need to know those styles and the characteristic associated with those styles of leadership. You also have another equally important topic, which is effective school leaders by Day and others. This is a theorist. The theorist who came up with certain ideas about how school leaders can be effective. So if you read about it, you understand what this guy is talking about. He talked about how school leaders should be effective, and he listed a certain characteristic there. Then you also need to required to read on the total quality management practices by Qua and others. Of course, there's Qua, McCord, and others. There are a lot of guys who talked about this total quality management practices. These guys, they were arguing about what must be practiced by the total quality management to make sure that the organization is doing well. And there's also another equally important topic, which is why managers or leaders fail. There are issues of avoiding responsibilities. It's one of those why managers normally end up failing. And there's another one, which is blaming others, especially when things did not go well. Certain managers or leaders make a blame shift. They don't want to take accountability. They normally say, no, things did not go well because of you. So, and there are a lot of reasons that are listed in your book there that talks about why managers or leaders fail. I just gave you 2 examples. That's just for you to build on, to know what we are talking about here. Component of school excellence. You talk about progress monitoring, and they are also in place of common vision. Those are 2 examples I can give you there, just to know, just to lighten you on what we are talking about here. Because what I've learned from some of your previous colleagues, they are saying, no, you're supposed to give us a certain example so that we know what we are talking about. And that's why also I realized that at some point, maybe you guys are not really reading, or you read and it's like you are not really getting what you are reading about. Of course, now if I give an example, maybe you now then understand what we are talking about there. If I'm saying component of school excellence and you talk about the impress common goals and vision, to know that for the school to do well, because what you are talking here is just the component that makes school to do well. So the school must have a common goals and vision or objectives, so that you know, okay, our mission here is just to teach. Our mission here is for learners to learn, etc., etc. Those are the things that we are talking. And we also talk about the progress monitoring, and we also talking about the instructional structures to say there must be certain fundamental basis where you are doing things right or wrong, then you must be corrected. Then we look at the benefit of scientific management. Very, very important. The benefit of scientific management is a very common topic in your book. And you know, most of these topics, they are very straightforward. One should not stumble, because when you look at this, some of these topics, they appear vivid, visible, and they appear straightforward, but yet you find people being asked questions in examination and they are still not able to get it right. And most of these questions that are crafted from these topics, they don't even change. They carry the same terms that are in the topic. So, but then you still find people struggling to answer some of these questions. I ask myself, are you guys really studying, or you just saying, exam is next week, let me page through, and you think you are ready for examination? It doesn't work like that. Okay, we are done with Unit 1. We are moving to Unit 2. During your exam preparation, this topic can be of helpful to you in this unit. I want you to look at the assertive communication. So, in essence, we are looking at what do we mean by assertive communication. Like, for example, give your opinion freely, and when you are talking to people, talk with respect, and say your views without guilty. Those are assertive communication ways. And I also want you to look at the strategies of assertive communication. Very, very important. You must look at those strategies of assertive communication. There are certain strategies in your book that talks about how certain communication should be done. And we look at important skills for a good managers, like clear communication, etc., etc. So you must know those important skills for a good manager. What makes a good manager? So there are certain things that they must do to make them a good managers. For example, if they are very open and they communicate to everyone and they give a clear message, that makes them a good managers. And how problem solving works, I want you to concentrate on the models of problem solving. You should read about those models. There are many. Also find techniques of speech making. For one to become a good speaker, there are certain techniques that you must employ to become a good speaker. For example, looking at the audience when you are talking, and there are a lot of techniques that you will find in your book. Managing conflict in workplace. You should read how one can manage conflict, especially at the workplace. Very, very nice topics there. it's just a matter of you reading your guide and you digest everything. And I also want you to look at how to resolve dispute. So dispute can be resolved healthy and unhealthy ways of resolving dispute, and you can read more of that. You should read and find how one can resolve the dispute. We are done with Unit 2. I hope so far so good. We cruise to Unit 3. We look at reward contingence as a topic of interest there. Reward contingence is very, very important. You look at how organizations are using a rewarding system, reward contingence system to reward the good performing employees. How schools could develop values in learners by means of reward. This as a teacher, this is very, very important to know, even just in a general perspective. You need to know how school could develop values in learners. In other words, how do you motivate learners through reward system? There are a number of factors that are given there that stipulates why learners will develop values. They will feel motivated. They will pick up their work because the more they are rewarded because of a good work or good behavior, they keep on or they sustain that behavior. It's just to give you some clarity on that. Effective management of teaching, learning materials entails. So look at the effective management of teaching, and you look at what learning materials entails in those effective management teaching. So here we are looking at how you should keep effective teaching in schools, and what materials should you include to make sure to make your teaching more effective, so that you make learning to be enjoyable. How to manage the physical facility in the schools. We have issue of vandalism going on in schools. Remember, you will be teachers and you need to know how to manage physical facilities in schools. So there are certain the inventories and all those things that are happening in schools. You must read about those, how to manage those facilities, and to make sure that there is proper maintenance and facilities are not vandalized. Very, very interesting topics that one can read, and you cannot fail such topics in examination, because even in general knowledge you can apply it. Clustering system and its failure. You should know what is clustering system in Namibia, and why did it fail. In your book they talk about the drawbacks of clustering systems. For example, the lack of funds or inadequate resources to make sure that that system is being sustained. It's one of the failures that caused the clustering system not to succeed. And also, sometimes the distance between the schools within the same cluster. Sometimes people do not have money for transport, etc., etc., and they have a meeting that is scheduled the next day, but then because of the distance, this discouraged many people to participate in the clustering system, and it made many people to say, no, this system is failing us because, you know, there's no fund that is normally or initiative to per se to say the clustering principle is paid a certain amount above other principles. All these things caused the failure. So, and the moment you read this topic, you also realize that you can even generalize it Because everywhere you find yourself in this country, you have heard of clustering system and you have heard of people complaining about it. You can use also those general information just to incorporate in your writing, then you get all the marks. How to develop morals and values in learners. You should know as a teacher or a school how to develop morals and values in the learner. What things must the school do to make sure that they develop morals and values in learners? Recognition and reward system for learners' achievement and behaviors. So you can by reading this one, recognition and reward system for learners' achievement and behaviors. If you look at topic 2, topic 1, all these topics are interlinked. So as you can see, because another thing I have forgotten to mention is that some of you, when you are given these topics, you only read the first 2 pages or only first page where the topic is, but then certain things are maybe at 2 pages after that page. So you need to read around the whole topic and get the idea. Because sometimes, for example, the recognition and reward system for learners' achievement and behaviors, of course you can see that this topic is also connected to the first topic. But then this one came at a later stage. But it requires you to read almost the entire topic to understand everything. And in one way or another, when you deal with one, it can also help you to address the other one. Thank you. Processes for developing values and belief-based approach. You should know what type of processes we need to develop to help developing a value and belief-based approach in our schools. We go to Unit 4. I hope you are still following and you are enjoying like I do. Unit 4, we are looking at core induction tasks for principal, for example, recruiting and hiring, as well as supporting new teachers. Here we are looking at the induction program. As new employees or new teachers are coming in, what things should you tell them? And what are you looking at when you are recruiting or when you are hiring the new teachers? And what support do you need to give them? Those are the things that you need to read about. They are very straightforward there. Like you make them to familiarize with the school background, the facilities available in the school, etc. Those are the things that you give to a new recruits. How to manage personal stress, dealing with burnout. In as much as you will be enjoying teaching, there will be also time when you will be frustrated. So you need to know how you must deal with those stress yourself. We are looking at the personal stress. You deal with burnout. Burnout is like you are under pressure and you can't give up. Winners don't give up. So you need to know how do you deal with that. And there are certain points that are stipulated in your module there that tells you how to deal with those personal stress. Very, very straightforward and very simple. Key theories of motivation. Talk about assumption associated with it. The theories of motivation, we look at the Maslow, the basic need, etc. And we look at the assumptions also associated with the theories of motivation. To say, okay, if your needs are fulfilled, what will happen? If you have teacher's house, what will happen? Those are the assumptions that are there by this guy, Maslow. Said, if the people are having basic shelters, for example, the teachers now, because remember, This theory can be applied to other areas, but here we are strictly talking about teaching. We are talking about education. Say you have shortage of teachers' housing. How does that affect your work? Those are the assumptions that we are talking about there. How to create a happy working environment for staff. For example, developmental opportunity for staff. We are looking at how do you develop your staff to make them more happy in that work community. And there are developmental opportunities that exist. For example, you maybe give them in-service training, you give them maybe opportunity to study further, and you give them those special study leaves and with their full salaries. There are a lot of things that you can talk about there. I'm just giving you some examples that you can ponder around. Okay, thank you. We go to Unit 5. Unit 5, we are looking at why the quality of education is poor in some schools. Know those factors. There are certain factors that are telling us that certain schools, there's quality of education. You must give those factors. Very, very important, and they are very simple. Classroom monitoring and the benefit of progress monitoring. You look at what is classroom monitoring and what are the benefits of classroom progress monitoring. For example, correcting learners' work. When you are progressively monitoring the learners' work, you are teaching, you are giving them classwork, you are giving them tests, and you keep on giving also feedback. That is progress monitoring. And classroom monitoring also, you look at the teachers, are the learners in order in the class? Are they listening, or are they sleeping, or are they doing their work, etc., etc. It's very, very straightforward topic. We cruise to Unit 6. We look at Article 20 of the Namibian Constitution. What does it entail? Very simple. About education, I guess so. You should know this whole article, and it's well summarized in your book, where you talk about the right to education, etc., etc. Then things under that. How many years of age the kids should be in schools, etc., etc. What must be done by the government, by the parents, by the teachers. So there are nice factors that you can look at there. And we look at managing HIV/AIDS in workplace challenges. What challenges this HIV and AIDS brings at workplace? We are aware that HIV and AIDS has been a tremendous challenge to men workplace, including schools, where you will be working. So you should know how to handle those challenges so that we do the right things. Procedures for investigating possible offenses. The possible offenses, we are looking at the secondary level. Of course, in your guide, there are different procedures of investigating offenses in the schools, primary, but specifically, I want you to concentrate on the secondary level. The procedures. What should we do? The issue for giving oral warning, or a verbal warning, a written warning, a dismissal, all these things. And you should know all those procedures. They are very good and straightforward. So I think I have exhausted all the points that you needed to know. Thank you for listening, and I hope you will be able to pass this course, as all the topics that I have presented are equally important to help you to pass the exam. Thank you.